We have an update regarding the Rockstar employees and an insider that's claiming that 34 employees were fired after sharing routine Slack policy emails in a union Discord. Not anything related to GTA 6. The email was posted after working hours, and employees can only access emails in the office. And this is from Dexerto, but it's from People Make Games. And I want to go into this with a heavy dose of skepticism because I personally do not trust this People Make Games YouTube channel. I'm sure they're very nice people, and I'm sure they do really hard work over there. But after watching the video they made about Valve and their hiring practices, trying to push for them to hire more people, and it just felt like almost like a DEI injection thing to put them on the spot for why they're not more transparent with who they're hiring. I got rubbed the wrong way with that whole situation. But this is the video, and it says the messages Rockstar saw before firing 34 union members. So I fast forwarded to the part where it gets into it. And this is from, like I said, from People Make Games, almost 90,000 views.
Well, today I have more information to share, having since spoken to a Rockstar insider who has shared screenshots with People Make Games of what they believe to be the messages sent just a few weeks ago on that Discord server, which directly contributed to the firings of these 34 former employees. And we also know how Rockstar got hold of these messages as well. Now, this Rockstar source who's come forward is not one of the fired workers. In fact, they're not even a member of the union. So let's start there. How exactly did this Discord server work? Well, first of all, it's not new. This server had been up and running since 2022, and essentially, if an employee showed interest in joining the union, they could be invited into this Discord by select organizers, where they'd land in a general channel. There were other channels that only paying members of the union could access, which is where the real organizing got done, but this general channel served a broader purpose than that.
I can tell you, though, this whole Discord at companies with employees conspiring potentially against the company itself. I look at this again, not to be a corporal bootlicker in this situation, but if I was Take-Two, I would have serious concerns about that. I would.
It was somewhere for Rockstar employees to find out more information about the union, and so it acted as a sort of recruitment funnel with over 300 members in the server at its peak. As we've already heard from the union, I've had it confirmed that membership to this Discord was limited to either Rockstar employees who'd proven their identities or representatives of the Independent Workers Union of Great Britain, which this Rockstar union was a part of. I have also been
told the problem here is because it's a public Discord, this is a trust me, bro. Trust me, bro, it's only accessible from Rockstar employees or the people that aren't Rockstar employees, but are part of this union. Bro, like when you go there, it's like Take-Two's like, whoa. We don't approve of our internal stuff going to anyone outside of this company. And that's one of those explicit written things that you don't do that, which is probably what Take-Two knew that they got him on, even if it was innocuous shit. Because let's be honest, they were looking to break up the union. Like, keep it a buck here. They were, and they found a way to do it. That's what this all comes down to.
Although there may have been examples of Rockstar employees sticking around in this Discord after they'd left the company, although this isn't something I've seen any proof of so far. So what were people talking about? Well, according to my source, there were guidelines in place on this Discord as to what could and couldn't be discussed. And from their perspective, they couldn't recall a single example of any confidential game details being shared. Instead, you might see things like this: employees comparing salaries and...
Okay, so now we're getting the hearsay of, I don't recall anything particularly proprietary being shared. Okay, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. It just means you don't recall it happening. It sounds to me like Rockstar and Take-Two know that they got something on it.
Bonuses with each other, conversations which are arguably protected by the Equality Act of 2010.
Arguably, not guaranteed to.
Which states that workers in the UK can disclose these sorts of details with one another and with trade union officials in order to determine whether any discrimination is taking place due to gender, race, disability, age, etc. Alright, so what exactly was the problem here? This server had been up and running for multiple years by the time the firings took place. When did Rockstar find out about it? And importantly, what could they possibly have seen which gave them the confidence to immediately dismiss 34 employees in this way?
All it takes with this kind of situation is for one person to share one screenshot of an internal email, even if it's an innocuous one, if the internal email is not to be shared externally, that's right there. It's like they're just waiting. Like, gotcha. There it is.
Here's what we now know. At the beginning of October this year, just a few weeks ago, Rockstar announced a series of changes to its internal Slack policies. Specifically, this started with the removal of the miscellaneous channels that employees from across the company used to discuss non-work topics like their pets, music taste, games they were playing, photography, film club, arts and crafts. That's
ironically, by the way, I said this before in a previous video covering this. This is on Take Two and Rockstar for hiring these types of people. It's well, if it's not the consequences of your actions, bringing these types of people in, you're going to start getting people that start doing this kind of stuff.
Sort of thing. The company claims these channels have become both a source of distraction and in some cases, poor conduct. This decision, described by some employees as the Slack purge, proved to be pretty unpopular, and the union's members immediately started discussing it over on their Discord server as the announcement went out. I would really like to see the evidence for them being too much of a productivity hit, stated one member. I can't imagine it being...
It doesn't matter, bro. They don't owe you these Slack channels. They pay you to work at the company. What is this with this entitlement that these people have? I would really like to see the evidence for them being too much of a productive. It doesn't matter if nothing was a hit. If they just woke up and said, yeah, we just don't want you to have those anymore, company policy change. You can't speak out about that and be like, well, you can't do that. Fuck, they can. Of course they can. That has nothing to do with your job.
With the absolute dumpster fire, this will be the morale. Someone else asks, did they show any examples of misbehaving, or is this all finger pointing without anything?
None of this matters. None of this matters.
Specific. To which someone else responds, fucking bullshit reasons as per. Backed by no evidence, I would imagine.
Okay, so now they're not just employees that are mad, but they're now disgruntled employees actively working at the studio. So now there's a problem. Again, I'm looking at this from the perspective of Take Two seeing these messages, and I would be like, these people are problems at our company. Like, just being honest, it sounds like they want to piss away the time of the day, and they want to waste their time in the Discord or the Slack messages. That is a problem. Yes.
The productivity point is a load of shit, and everybody knows it. Someone else adds, plus sending them out after most of the UK folks have left for the day. Sick.
I mean, proof of that, source, like what? Come on.
And we've got another quote from the email. This also helps us maintain clearer boundaries between work and personal life. You can see from the emojis how that one went down. Followed by
What?
LMAO, well then let me work my contracted hours. Now, of these Slack channels...
Sounds like you have a lawsuit if they're not letting you work your contracted hours. What even is this?
Removed, you will be shocked to hear that it was the gaming one that had the most drama surrounding it beforehand.
No, I'm not
Some employees, just a few even, were known for being, well, let's say vocal about their opinions on the games they played, including those that other employees may have worked on at former companies. But there was another aspect to this as well. The gaming channel is also where union members would post industry news, including the avalanche of mass layoffs we've seen across games in recent years. If you remember from our previous video up in Edinburgh, the seedling emoji had particular importance to these workers. Often, when these layoffs were being talked about in Slack, union members would react to these posts using this emoji as a way of showing their solidarity with the affected workers.
People love solidarity.
And in doing so, it was also a way of showing their support for the union. Over on the Discord, some of its members wondered if this was something management had intentionally tried to stifle with this decision. In response, they began drafting an open letter that could be sent to Rockstar's leadership, detailing their frustrations. Meanwhile, a second email was sent out at Rockstar announcing yet further changes to its Slack policies, including stricter guidelines on what employees could now put in their status messages on the platform.
So they gave this is now multiple warnings to the employees. This is management telling you, hey, we're looking to fire people that are in this. This is a problem. We're now doing a second announcement on it.
These statuses had sometimes been used by workers to display emojis, which would no longer be allowed under these new rules. Over on the Discord, one member suggested this was to stop employees from displaying Palestinian flags.
Again, I go back to this is on Take Two. Well, if it's not the consequences of who you hired, these people are nuts.
Or seedling emojis in support of the union. Now, there's something worth understanding about Rockstar's internal communication here. This is a company that has experienced its fair share of major leaks over the years, and as a result, employees can only access their work emails while in the office itself. This includes the 2 emails you've just heard about in relation to the Slack policy changes that had just been announced. However, given at least one of these emails was sent outside of typical UK work hours, most people weren't able to read it when it was sent. This led to some union members who are still at the office posting information or
direct quote from internal Rockstar email. Here we go. I told you guys when I covered this before, Take-Two and Rockstar covered their ass. They wouldn't just randomly fire people. This is ironclad. Like, you could show this to a judge and be like, yeah, here's what we told them not to do. Here's what they did, Your Honor. Like, that's an open shut case. You need to follow the company policy. I mean, assuming it's following the laws of the land that it's on, where they're like, yeah, for proprietary and privacy purposes, we have a strict, you cannot share anything from our emails anywhere else. And here it is where they did it. Multiple warnings. The HR at Take-Two can point to the multiple warnings that they had leading up to it. And then they have this that happened. There it is.
Quotes from these emails in the Discord in order for other members.
Transcriptions of these new guidelines sent out by Rockstar management. For reference, this was done from camera to text, so forgive any typos.
To see.
So they took a screenshot of a computer screen. Yikes, bro. I don't care what the fuck it was. You do not do that with a company that's had multiple massive leaks and how serious they take their privacy right now. You can't just take a camera and picture of your screen. I've told you guys the story before. When I worked at Sony Online Entertainment, first day I got on the job, walked through the door, first thing they said was, you have a PlayStation 3 at your desk. If you take a picture of your PlayStation 3 and post it on Facebook or MySpace, you will be fired immediately. There is no questions asked about it. You cannot take pictures of anything in here at all. Like, it's just, that was the policy. Now they're trying to like, oh, but it was just for, like, no, you don't do that, bro. That's the policy.
And discuss. My source claims this sharing of 2 internal emails relating to Slack policy changes, is what led to at least one member of the Discord approaching studio management in order to express concerns about the discussions taking place. I'm told this either contributed to or kicked off an investigation into the Discord by the company.
Wait. Hold on. Let me.
Studio management in order to discuss. My source claims this sharing of 2 internal emails relating to Slack policy changes, is what led to at least one member of the Discord approaching studio management in order to express concerns about the discussions taking place.
There it is. There it is. So you now have a whistleblower inside the Slack messages raising a concern to management, saying, hey, I know that there has been problems with leaks at this company in the past. I am doing my best. I don't want to be lumped in with these people that are doing this shit. I'm coming to you, full disclosure. This stuff's happening. I have nothing to do with it. I'm just letting you know about it. Fair.
I'm told this either contributed to or kicked off an investigation into the Discord by the company, which does line up with the timings that we now understand.
So what frustrates me about this entire situation is the game journal mafia is obviously on the side of the employees, because that's what they always do. And the narrative being pushed out there is, yeah, big corpos suck and the employees are getting screwed. They didn't follow what the rules were. As someone who's worked in the industry before, I can tell you, you know how serious these are taken. You gotta know. And just because you grew up in the generation of Palestine flags and no consequences doesn't mean you're not going to lose your job when you do it at a massive organization.
These Slack policy changes and the discussion surrounding them took place in the second week of October. By the end of that month, 34 people had been fired for gross misconduct. It now appears likely that Rockstar gained access to the server at some point during this period, if not beforehand, and has then trawled through the chat logs in order to build a case for its firings. I asked the head of global corporate communications at Take-Two whether or not these messages that we're publishing today represent a significant part of its argument that confidential information had been leaked on a public forum. And we were told,
I'll tell you guys this. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It's if you take a screenshot, that's like saying, "Oh, I took a picture of my PlayStation 3 at my desk when I was at Sony." It didn't show any information. The barcode was hidden on it. It doesn't tell you anything about anything. It's literally just a picture of the PlayStation. What's the problem? It doesn't matter. The rules are set forth to not do that. And you did that. I don't know why this is so hard to understand. But I guess I'll leave it at this. I'm not going to go through this whole video and react to the whole thing. I'll share it in the description below. But my main takeaway from this is be careful who you trust with this kind of stuff, because the mainstream media and the journals out there are going to push pro-employee. Unions are great. We need more unions. We need more protections. We need all this for the employees in the games industry and all that. It's like, do we? Or do we just need employees that listen to the rules that are given to them? And if they don't like it, they can go work at a different studio and tell them that this is as long as, by the way, as long as Take-Two is following the letter of the law of wherever they are, in this case, I believe it's in the UK, wherever this office was, as long as they're following the guidelines of where it's housed, if you don't like the working conditions, but they're legal, go work somewhere else. And if they're illegal, you got yourself a situation there. But you don't break the law and then say, well, it wasn't really breaking the law. It was actually to help people. And because it was this and that, I don't care. I don't care. It's part of the contract. And unions, I've said the story before too. I'm not going to go into it, but unions are not always necessary everywhere. And I strongly believe they are not required in the game industry. Unions in entertainment are a very double-edged sword. And I think that's a fair take. People that are saying, no, we always need unions, careful about that one. I do appreciate what they were doing with this direction that they were taking it. It wasn't as pro-employee as I was worried it was. This is a very fair video, at least so far, where it at least tells you what the problem was and why they were fired. Like, yeah, great. That's all we were looking for. This proved my point of what I thought happened. Here it is. Yep. I'm not surprised. I don't think anyone should be. And these people that got fired sure as shit should not be expecting their job back. They're standing outside protesting. Fuck out of here. Go somewhere else. I would not want them working at my company. If I owned Take-Two Interactive, I would not be having texts sent with other dudes asking about showers with other dudes. But beyond that, if I saw this situation happen, I'd be like, yep, get rid of them. I do not want them working at my company. Sorry. Bye. Next. No questions asked. Just done. You're out. There is a ebb and a flow and a delicate balance. I don't companies having all the power. I don't like employees having all the power. There needs to be a balance. Ideally 50-50, but the problem is if you go 50-50 and then you hire a bunch of activists and communists, they always want more and they'll never stop. I think Take-Two recognize that. Anyways,